Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're taking your stack of source material, diving deep into the analysis, and giving you the ultimate shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're strapping in for a really fascinating ride through the highly strategic world of daytime drama, specifically the character movements, casting receipts, and plot mechanisms on Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah, and our mission today, based on the fan speculation and, well, some pretty rigorous production analysis you've provided, is to decode what we're calling the B&B crystal ball. We are looking at a deeply surprising dichotomy here. The sources predict that the seemingly safe, popular character, he's on his way out.
While the highly controversial figure, currently entangled in multiple fictional felonies, mind you,
Right.
is strategically set up for long-term survival and, believe it or not, a shocking redemption arc.
It really is a classic case of operational logistics dictating drama, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're analyzing evidence pulled straight from the trenches, casting credits, official spoilers, and just a history of how the show's head writer, Brad Beal, uses and, frankly, disposes of characters.
Exactly. So the core paradox we have to solve is this. Why is Thomas Forrester, who, let's be honest, just returned, likely making an abrupt exit? And why is Luna Nosawa, who, based on her actions, should probably be looking at serious prison time? Why is she being set up for not only a major arc, but also, guaranteed longevity?
It's not just about what happens on screen. It's absolutely about the business of the soap. We are moving beyond simple plot prediction and using that production data, what the fans often call receipts, to understand that these movements are strategic. They're planned moves. They signal intent for the next year of storytelling, you see. They're not just random writer decisions.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And we should start with Thomas Forrester, played by Matthew Atkinson. The analysis suggests he is, essentially walking out the door with his bags packed already. The sources highlight 4 major red flags indicating he's on his way out almost as quickly as he returned. It sets up a hiatus that could last a good long while, as they put it. Very similar, perhaps, to the long break we saw with Wyatt Spencer before.
And to really understand the exit, we have to first look at the context of his return, which was, let's face it, highly suspicious. We need to review the timeline a bit. The last time the audience saw Thomas before this brief reappearance was way back in July 2024.
Right. And he wasn't just gone. He was seemingly happy. He was planning his life. He was happily engaged to Paris Buckingham, planning their wedding, and crucially, raising his son, Douglas Forrester. They were setting up a whole new family unit abroad.
But here's the major narrative anomaly, the unanswered question, really. Right before his initial exit, Hope Logan was literally begging him to leave Paris and come back to her, and Thomas refused. He held strong, committed to Paris, and then poof, disappeared.
And then when he returned months later...
Yeah, no wedding explanation, no Paris, and critically, no Douglas. He just suddenly reappeared in Los Angeles, single, apparently ready to cause drama. That lack of foundational storytelling for his return. It immediately raises questions about his long-term integration into the show.
Which brings us directly to red flag number 1, the missing family. Okay, yes, a split with Paris is narratively convenient. It makes him single, available.
Sure, and the fan analysis even suggests this was maybe advantageous for stirring up new romantic trouble, making him a free agent.
But the truly massive, undeniable red flag has got to be that he returned without his son, Douglas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If Thomas were truly intended to stay for a substantial, long-term commitment, Douglas would absolutely be involved, even if minimally. We'd see him on screen, or at the very, very least, there'd be constant, active mention of him. Maybe boarding school, maybe visiting. Something.
Some explanation.
Exactly. Leaving his son behind in Paris without a really solid explanation beyond maybe some vague platitudes, it just strongly suggests this is a short-term visit. It feels temporary. Parents, especially parents like Thomas who have, fought tooth and nail for custody in the past, they don't just leave their child behind for an open-ended long-term return to a new city, not unless that return itself is temporary.
Wait, now here's where we hit the technical details, the stuff that really can prove intent. This moves us into red flag number 2, the contract status receipt. This is pure, unadulterated production analysis that, the average viewer probably misses completely. But it's gold for decoding the future of the show.
It truly is the skeleton key sometimes. B&B, like all the major soaps, lists its credits meticulously.
Yeah.
Usually, once or twice a week?
Yeah, something like that.
And the order is rigidly structured. The core contract players, these are the actors, guaranteed multi-year employment, guaranteed weekly screen time, they're listed first. alphabetically by character name. Think Sheila Carter, Taylor Hayes, Liam Spencer. These are the show's pillars, right?
Our mainstays.
And once that contracted A to Z list is finished, only then do they restart the alphabetical order for the recurring actors. These are actors who are paid per day, essentially. They have no guaranteed airtime beyond whatever their agreed-upon arc is. Fundamentally, they're considered temporary or secondary players.
And this is the critical evidence for Thomas.
This is it. Thomas Forrester is listed in the recurring area, specifically right before actors like Donald Logan and Lee Finnegan. Now, since the actor's last name, Atkinson, starts with an A, he's actually the very first recurring actor listed. If Thomas had signed a new long-term contract, one that signified a permanent return, a guaranteed future as a plot driver, he would be seamlessly integrated into that main contract list, period.
Okay.
His placement outside that core group is, as the sources nail it, a definitive receipt. It shows he is only back for a limited run.
That distinction is so crucial for a learner listener, too. A contract player is an engine of guaranteed plot. A recurring player is like fuel for someone else's fire.
Precisely. A contract means the show must write for you. They have to ensure you have a front-burner story, or at least a significant B-plot. Recurring means they use you when convenient, and crucially, they can drop you without major contractual headaches. So this production detail alone signals Thomas's limited utility going forward.
And that limited utility seems reflected in the dramatic canvas itself, which leads us straight to red flag number 3, the lack of storyline space.
Right. Thomas currently lacks any clear, sustainable, long-term direction. Let's just look at the women in his orbit, realistically. Hope Logan, the woman he spent years pining for, and the source of that huge fanship, Thope, the Thomas and Hope reunion dream.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of viewers.
It is. But she's currently embroiled in a massive, multifaceted drama. It's complicated.
That's putting it mildly. It's between her ex-husband, Liam Spencer, and her fiancé, Carter Walton. She is tied up completely in this love triangle that's dominating significant airtime right now.
And the analysis strongly suggests that this busy love triangle means there is, quote, probably no Thope reunion coming, at least not in this current arc. It just doesn't fit. And if you scan the rest of the B&B canvas, well, there are realistically no other single ladies available for Thomas to immediately engage with. Not in a meaningful long-term plot that would justify a contract position anyway.
He's sort of dramatically homeless right now.
That's a good way to put it. A man without a clear dramatic purpose.
So, okay, we have 3 structural clues pointing towards temporary function. No son, recurring credit status, and no real romantic plot space. This brings us to the 4th red flag, which feels like the defining moment of his return, the moment that explains why he was needed right now.
Exactly. Let's transition into what feels like the most compelling argument. Thomas was never really meant to stay. He was brought back for a very specific, very temporary plot function. And this is red flag 4, but the source is called the climax that became a fizzle.
Right. This refers to that really intense conflict that was built up around Thomas confronting Brooke Logan. He returned just enraged, ready to throttle her, as the source put it, for once again hurting his mother, Taylor Hayes, by getting back together with Ridge Forrester.
And the scene was designed to be explosive. The source notes describe Thomas literally getting physical, having his hands on Brooke, looking ready to do something crazy. The tension built up suggested this would be a major defining conflict, maybe leading to police involvement or a total family schism. A typical big boom that B&B is famous for delivering after these long simmering feuds.
But then, poof, the drama just collapsed.
Right.
Ridge intervened.
Right. And it led to this quick, almost absurd 5-minute conversation. Brooke and Ridge basically claimed their reunion was justified because they bonded over her near-death experience in Italy. And then, in what the sources highlight as one of the most frustrating narrative decisions and one that drew sharp fan criticism, the conflict just immediately vanished. Brooke and Thomas shook hands, they hugged, and suddenly they're cool.
Which felt really unsatisfying after all that buildup.
It was an incredible waste of narrative tension. The fan analysis sharply criticizes writer Brad Beal for building up what should have been this dramatic big boom, this lasting climax, only to deliver an anticlimactic fizzle. Like, why build up such dangerous aggression only to dissipate it instantly? It makes no sense if he's staying.
Yeah, if Thomas was meant to be a central character for the next year, that confrontation should have defined his animosity toward Brooke. It should have driven weeks, maybe months of conflict.
Exactly. The fact that the entire plot just dissolved so quickly strongly suggests that the confrontation itself was designed to be temporary, easily wrapped up because Thomas himself was, well, disposable to the long-term future plot.
Okay, so this leads directly into the core analytical theory then, the Steffi placeholder theory.
Precisely. Why bring back Thomas for what amounts to a guest arc that just ends in a meaningless handshake?
The strategic need, looking back, was absolutely clear. The melodrama required someone, anyone, to be the vocal, fiercely outraged defender of the Tridge side, the side loyal to Taylor over the Ridge and Brooke reunion. Someone had to yell about it.
And that person, under normal circumstances, absolutely should have been Steffi Forrester. She's the fiercest protector of her mother, always has been. But she was out on maternity leave at the time, having given birth to, as the source material cheekily notes, kid number 5. Steffi, the primary defender, was simply unavailable.
So the analysts theorized that Thomas was strategically introduced as a placeholder defender for his mother, Taylor. He filled that emotional void left by Steffi's necessary absence. He served the single purpose of reacting loudly to the reunion.
And now, that gap is closing. Steffi Forrester is back to filming. She is, by all accounts, renowned for balancing her professional life and family life exceptionally well. So since her return is imminent, the writers no longer need Thomas as the emotional defender of the Tridge legacy. His purpose is complete.
The necessity of his temporary character function is fulfilled, simple as that. Therefore, the final destination prediction is, well, we'll be saying goodbye to Thomas on B&B very soon. He'll likely head back to France, probably to be with Douglas, ostensibly getting his life back on track, as Ridge recommended.
Right. And maybe, just maybe, he'll make a brief final stop. Perhaps see Steffi quickly to explain that their dad married Brooke again, preventing her from being completely shocked when she arrives back on the canvas fully.
Okay, so the overriding takeaway from Thomas's story, for our listener, seems to be that the character's utility, his usefulness to fill a temporary plot hole, combined with those hard operational facts of his contract status, it completely trumped any audience desire for him to stick around.
That seems to be the analysis, yes. Production needs over popularity in this case.
Now, we switch gears completely. This is fascinating. We're transitioning from the good son, who seems disposable, to the highly controversial figure, a figure who, despite a rap sheet that is, frankly, astonishing even for a soap opera, is predicted to not only stick around but achieve a major redemption arc. This is where the sheer audacity of soap opera plotting really shines, I think. Let's contrast the analysis on Thomas with the powerful prediction for Luna Nozawa.
Luna, played by Lisa Yamada. Yeah, she's facing charges that are incredibly severe, even in the hyperbolic context of daytime drama. The fan analysis summarizes her fictional rap sheet pretty bluntly. She's described as a double murderer, who just shot Liam and Sheila and tried to shoot Steffi and just molested Will Spencer.
Okay.
I mean, that is a massive, immediate criminal history for a character to carry. Yet the analysts believe the writers are, quote, just getting started with her. They think they're securing her position for the long term.
Wow. And right now on screen, the dramatic pressure cooker is intense, right? Leif Finnegan is seen literally choking Luna in this week's spoilers. Bill Spencer and Will Spencer intervene. But both Bill and Will desperately want to see Luna held accountable. They want her sent to prison, despite maybe stopping Lee from actually killing her.
And this is the dramatic high-stakes moment. It's necessary for the character to deploy the ultimate plot twist, the escape hatch. Because according to official B&B spoilers, we are getting the shocking, strategically stabilizing plot mechanism. Luna is pregnant.
And we have specific details indicating this wasn't just an accident, but maybe a calculated move on her part.
It seems so. The official spoilers confirm she used a home pregnancy test at Remy Price's apartment. And that test conveniently falls out of her purse at a crucial moment. The analysis states this pregnancy was exactly what Luna was hoping for when she did the deed with Will, which speaks volumes about her immediate, desperate need for leverage.
Wow. Okay, so she uses this leverage instantly.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers reveal Luna begs not to be sent back to prison. And then she drops the bomb. She informs Bill that he is going to be a grandfather, claiming Will is the father. This is the crucial moment. Her physical plot device, the pregnancy, turns into emotional blackmail against one of the show's wealthiest, most powerful families.
Right. And this is the central lever of her predicted longevity. We need to dive deeper into why this crazy plan may actually work.
Yeah.
The analysis really hinges on the idea that the Spencers and the Logans, kind of the established, often moral core of the show, they won't want their grandchild born behind bars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if Bill and Katie Logan are absolutely furious, even if Katie initially says, let Luna rot, which sounds very Katie. The existence of a Spencer heir changes the entire calculus. We've seen this trope play out countless times throughout soap history. A baby forces entanglement. It just does. The sources suggest that perhaps Katie will eventually propose they just take the kid once it's born, maybe let Luna go free, or serve minimal time, simply to prevent the generational shame and trauma of a child being born to a mother in prison. That emotional leverage, for the purpose of the plot, completely outweighs the gravity of her crimes.
And the mechanism for continued drama is right there, readily available. Lee Finnegan, the doctor who actively despises Luna,
Oh, yeah.
she's perfectly placed to run the inevitable DNA and paternity tests, which will launch this into a major multi-month storyline involving multiple characters. It guarantees screen time.
Absolutely. And we should note, this situation comes at a high emotional cost to the quote-unquote heroes. Will Spencer is predicted to be just devastated by this forced parenthood and all the complications it brings. It adds one more horrible thing he has to tell Electra Forrester. So this pregnancy isn't a sign of happiness for the heroic figures. It's a guaranteed narrative chain that forces Luna to remain central to the canvas, whether they like it or not.
The conclusion feels pretty undeniable then. The pregnancy guarantees Luna's survival on the show. She may be a figure of intense controversy, maybe even disliked by many viewers, but she now possesses the ultimate plot device, a baby. And that forces the core families to keep her close, securing her position and preventing a swift, logical exit to prison.
And Luna's longevity, anchored by this massive pregnancy shocker, is set to ripple across a huge sections of the canvas. It's going to involve multiple long-running characters and expand the narrative far beyond just the Spencers.
Okay, so who else gets pulled into this vortex?
Well, the analysis confirms Luna's pregnancy is set to be a big storyline unfolding among Katie, Bill, Luna herself, Lai, Sheila, and a very ticked-off Deacon Sharp.
Deacon. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the introduction of supporting characters who seem clearly designed to expand her orbit. Specifically, the character named Deke, played by Harrison Kahn, and his connection to Remy Price.
Right, Deke. What's the significance there, according to the analysis?
Deke's significance, according to the fan analysis, is key. He is strongly suspected to be Deacon Sharp's son. This theory apparently gained major traction right after his debut episode. The source material notes that Deke recognized Luna immediately and was very indignant about her, just instantly hostile.
Okay, so how does that connect to Deacon?
Well, if you connect this indignation to the broader criminal context, that Luna is a double murderer, Deke's anger makes perfect rational sense if he is Deacon's son. Because Luna is the woman who killed two of his dad's friends. That creates a ready-made source of conflict, loyalty to Deacon. It's something the writers can tap into immediately.
Huh. That actually makes a lot of sense. And this theory gets a boost from casting.
A massive, highly specific boost from the casting department itself, yeah. Which moves us into our final bit of casting insight. Like father, like son.
Okay.
Soap operas rely heavily on visual continuity, familial resemblance. It helps the audience buy into relationships. The source provides a quick casting analysis, comparing a specific photo of a very young Sean Kanan who plays Deacon Sharp now, back when he was starring in General Hospital as A.J. Quartermain.
Oh, wow. Going way back.
Way back. Comparing that photo next to the current actor, Harrison Kahn, as Deke.
And the verdict?
The conclusion cited is clear and definitive. The physical resemblance is strong enough that it pretty much confirms the theory that Deke is Deacon's son. When soaps cast, they often cast strategically for resemblance, especially for family connections. And this decision, the source argues, was designed to make him look like Daddy. This implies the show is actively investing in this storyline thread. They're expanding Luna's orbit with new, complicated family ties.
So we have the confirmation, essentially. Luna is sticking around due to the irresistible plot leverage of the pregnancy.
Right.
And the writers are simultaneously expanding her dramatic canvas by confirming Deke's probable paternity connection to Deacon, creating a whole new, layered source of family tension and conflict surrounding her actions.
Exactly. The writers are absolutely not letting this controversial character go. They are embedding her deeply into the history and future of two major B&B families.
Wow. This has truly been a spectacular deep dive into the strategic chess game of daytime writing, using both storyline analysis and those crucial technical production receipts.
Yeah, so to summarize our mission for you, we analyzed the rigorous evidence suggesting Thomas, the strategically returned but ultimately disposable good son, is being phased out. This was indicated by his lack of contract status, his son's absence, and the ultimate fizzle of his one major plot function, which is basically filling that steppy-shaped hole as a placeholder defender.
Right. While Luna, the highly controversial, morally ambiguous figure, is absolutely secured for a major long-term storyline. She avoids prison, gains immense narrative significance, based solely on guaranteeing the maximum amount of future family drama through a positive pregnancy test.
The analysis clearly highlights the strategic power of plot devices in soap operas, doesn't it? One character is removed because production credit listings and story gaps show he has run out of utility,
Yeah.
while another avoids fictional criminal punishment and is guaranteed years of airtime based solely on the strategic implantation of a baby. It's quite the contrast.
It really is. Okay, here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on as you consider the nature of storytelling itself. When looking at TV narratives, particularly those designed for maximum drama like soaps, how often does a character's critical plot function, whether it's filling a temporary void like Thomas or guaranteeing multi-generational dramatic conflict like Luna, how often does that function so fundamentally outweigh their past actions? Even actions as severe as being a double murderer. How often does function determine their survival on screen?
It's a really interesting tension, isn't it, between morality and pure narrative momentum. Definitely something worth exploring in any medium you encounter. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the business of B&B.
We'll see you next time. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again, taking that stack of research you've gathered and really distilling it down, giving you the shortcut to being totally up to speed.
Yeah, getting you right to the core insights.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating, I think. It's all about character strategy, specifically within the world of Bold and the Beautiful, network daytime soaps.
It's high stakes, high drama, and what the sources you've provided suggest is.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real puzzle. Our mission today isn't just recapping plots. We're looking at fan theories, production details, even like the history of the writers.
Right, trying to decode what's really going on with the future of B&B.
And it paints this picture, it's almost a paradox. You've got Thomas Forrester, who seems popular. His return felt kind of logical.
Yeah.
But the prediction is he's out fast.
Well, on the other hand, you have Luna Nozawa, a character tangled up in, major criminal stuff.
Huge stuff.
And she's predicted to not only stick around, but get this massive redemption arc. It's unexpected.
It really is.
Yeah.
So we're using the evidence, the receipts, as the sources call them, things like casting credits, spoilers, just how Brad Beal, the head writer, tends to operate.
Okay, so the mystery is, Thomas, who just got back, is probably leaving again almost right away. But Luna, who, frankly, sounds like she should be doing serious time, she's being set up for this big storyline that anchors her to the show.
It forces you to ask, what really keeps a character on a soap? Is it what the audience wants? Or is it just narrative need? Like, who does the story need?
It's moving beyond just reacting to the plot, isn't it? It's looking at the mechanics behind it, the business side.
Exactly. Less about who do we like and more about who does the show structurally need right now.
Okay, let's start with Thomas Forrester then. Matthew Atkinson playing him. The sources are flagging several things suggesting his return is pretty temporary, almost like he came back just to leave again, maybe wrap things up for a long break.
Yeah, they compared it to Wyatt Spencer, Darren Brooks' character. When the story runs out, sometimes characters just get put on the shelf for a bit.
So the context of his return is key here. Let's look at the timeline.
Right. Before he vanished around, July 2024, over a year ago in real time.
What was happening then? He seemed happy.
He did. He was planning his wedding to Paris Buckingham, played by Diamond White. They were talking about having it at the Forrester Mansion. Eric was involved.
And crucially, he had his son Douglas with him. Henry Joseph Samiri playing Douglas. They were a unit. That was the picture.
But, and this is a big but, right before he left, Hope, Logan, Annika Noel had actually begged him to ditch Paris and come back to her.
And he said no. He chose Paris. It seemed like a principled stand.
It did. And then, nothing. Radio silence for months. Over a year passes. No wedding happens off screen, apparently. Thomas Paris Douglas. They just kind of disappeared from the story.
And then, bam, Thomas pops back up recently, alone.
Which brings us right to red flag number 1, the missing family.
He's solo. Okay, maybe he and Paris split up. That happens. Makes him single, potentially useful for drama.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Convenient, even. But the massive red flag, the one the sources really hammer home, is Douglas isn't with him.
His son.
His son. If Thomas was really back for good, making a long-term move to L.A., Douglas has to be part of that equation. He's Thomas's anchor. He connects the Forresters and Logans.
Even if the kid wasn't on screen much, you'd hear about him, right? Like, oh, Douglas is at boarding school nearby or something.
Exactly. Some explanation. But the fact that Thomas apparently chose to leave his son behind in Paris, that just screams short trip. You don't move continents indefinitely without your kid unless you know you're coming back soon.
It feels like the writers didn't want to commit to bringing Douglas back, maybe contractually or story-wise, because Thomas himself wasn't staying.
That reluctance to integrate Douglas fully really suggests Thomas's return wasn't meant to be permanent from the start.
Okay, so that's a big character clue. Now let's get into the production side, the stuff fans don't usually see. Red flag number 2, the contract status receipt.
This is gold. It's about how the show actually lists the actors in the credits. P&B does this like once or twice a week, and it's very structured.
Right, there are 2 main groups of actors in the credits.
Yep. First up, you get the contract players. These are the core people, the ones the show is built around long term. Catherine Kelly Lang, Don Diamont, characters like Liam, Taylor, they're listed first, usually alphabetically by character last name.
Okay, the main cast.
Then, after that group, the credits list the recurring actors. These are people brought in for shorter arcs, guest spots, or maybe the show just hasn't locked them into a big, expensive contract yet. Also alphabetical.
And this is where we find Thomas Forrester.
Bingo. He's listed deep in the recurring section. The sources pinpoint his exact spot, right before Donna Logan and Lai Finnegan.
And because his actor's last name is Atkinson, starting with A.
He's the very first name in that recurring list. If you were back permanently, signed to a long-term contract, he should be in that first section with the main contract players.
Wow, so his placement in the credits is basically the show telling us he's not core cast right now.
It's the ultimate receipt, as the sources say. It proves his status is limited. It's about budget, planning. It speaks volumes, more than any line he says on screen.
Okay, so no long-term contract likely means no long-term story planned, which is red flag number 3, lack of storyline space.
It fits perfectly. Why sign him to a big contract if there's nowhere for him to go, story-wise?
And right now, his main connection, Hope. She's completely tied up.
Totally. She's in that intense love triangle with Liam, her ex, and Carter, her fiancé. That's taking up all the oxygen on her side of the canvas.
So the sources are basically saying, forget a Thope reunion anytime soon.
Probably not happening, is the consensus. And if you look around, who else is there for Thomas? Realistically, the sources argue there aren't any major single women available for a big, meaningful storyline right now.
He's kind of an island?
Functional, yeah.
Yeah.
An extra player in a game where all the main pieces are already committed. So, recurring status, no clear story path. It all points to him being brought back for a very specific temporary reason.
Okay, let's unpack that reason. What was the function? This leads to the idea of Thomas as a strategic placeholder. And the clue here is something that didn't happen dramatically.
Yes, red flag number 4, the climax that became a fizzle.
This was the big confrontation scene, right? Thomas returns, finds out Ridge and Brooke are back together, Taylor's hurt, and he goes after Brooke.
He was furious, ready to throttle her, the sources said. He literally had his hands on her, looked like he was about to snap, do something really crazy.
The tension was sky high. It felt like this was the big moment, the explosion that would change everything.
Exactly. It built up over several episodes, looked like it had to end in violence, or at least some huge, unresolvable fight that would fracture the family again.
But then, fizzle.
Total fizzle. Ridge steps in. There's like a 5-minute chat where Ridge and Brooke basically say, oh, we bonded in Italy when she almost died, so it's all good.
And suddenly Thomas and Brooke shake hands, hug, and they're cool.
Just like that. All that rage, gone.
Yeah.
Vanished. It was incredibly anticlimactic.
The sources really slammed Brad Bell for that, didn't they? Building up this big boom only to deliver nothing.
Yeah, huge criticism. But the analysis isn't just calling it bad writing, it's suggesting it's a structural clue. The confrontation was designed to be temporary, easily smoothed over, precisely because Thomas wasn't sticking around.
They didn't want lasting consequences from that fight because the guy causing the drama was on his way out anyway.
That's the theory. Don't create a mess you don't have a character contracted to clean up, which leads directly to the core idea.
The Steffi placeholder theory.
Right. If he wasn't staying, why bring him back at all, even for that fizzled fight? The writers needed someone. Someone had to be furious about Ridge dumping Taylor for Brooke again.
Someone had to represent Taylor's side, bring that conflict.
And historically, who does that? Who is Taylor's biggest defender?
Steffi. Always Steffi.
But Steffi, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, was out on maternity leave. Just had her 5th kid, apparently. Amazing.
Wow, 5. Okay. So Steffi wasn't available to deliver the expected Forrester outrage.
Exactly. Big narrative gap. So the theory is Thomas was brought back specifically as a temporary placeholder to fill Steffi's role, be the angry defender of Mom, just for those few crucial episodes after the Ridgebrook reunion bombshell.
He was a stand-in, a utility player for a short-term job. Deliver the anger, have it quickly resolved so it doesn't linger, and then exit stage left before the main player comes back.
And the timing fits perfectly because Steffi is confirmed back filming now. The sources mention she's great at balancing it all, so her return to our screens is coming up fast.
So the need for Thomas as the placeholder defender?
Gone. Completely gone. His function is over. Steffi's back to carry that torch, probably with much more lasting impact.
It really does sound like a strategic move, like bringing in a temp worker.
Right.
So the prediction for Thomas's exit?
Seems likely he'll say his goodbyes soon. Probably heading back to France, back to Douglas, just like Ridge told him to get his life together. Focus on being a dad.
Maybe a quick stop to see Steffi first.
That makes sense. Give her the heads up about Dad and Brooke so she's not totally shocked when she walks back into the drama. But the big picture on Thomas seems clear. His utility ran out, the contract, the lack of story, it all outweighed any fan desire for him to stay. Structurally, he became disposable.
Okay, that's a really clear analysis for Thomas. Now let's pivot to the complete opposite situation, Luna Nozawa.
Talk about contrast. We go from the good son who's disposable
Dude.
to, well, Luna, played by Lisa Yamada. The sources paint her as, like, the necessary villain.
But her rap sheet, it's staggering. I mean, for someone the show apparently wants to keep.
It's intense. The sources don't mince words. Double murderer, shot Liam and Sheila, tried to shoot Steffi, and, maybe the most shocking, just molested Will Spencer.
Okay, pause there. A double murderer. Attempted murder on multiple core characters. And the assault on Will Spencer, Bill and Katie's son. That's crossing a huge line, isn't it? Especially for a potential redemption arc.
You'd think it would be insurmountable. It touches the youngest generation, brings in sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Normally, that's an exit ramp for a character.
And the pressure is on her right now, isn't it? Life Finnegan is furious.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers, Chalet Perrot is literally choking Luna. Bill and Will Spencer have to intervene. But even they want her in prison. Bill, Will, they both agree, lock her up.
The walls are closing in. Logically, she should be done.
Logically, yes. But this is where the soap opera plot mechanics kick in, the ultimate strategic lifeline. Official B&B spoilers confirm it.
Luna is pregnant.
That's the twist. The sources have the details she used to test stick at Remy Price's place. It falls out of her purse during a confrontation.
And the analysis suggests this wasn't just an accident.
Apparently not. The source analysis claims this pregnancy was exactly what Lena was hoping for when she did the deed with Will. It was a calculated move.
Wow. So she deliberately tried to get pregnant to create leverage?
That's the implication. And she uses it immediately. Spoilers say she begs Bill not to send her to prison, then drops the bomb. You're going to be a grandfather, Will's the father.
And that's the thing that might save her.
That's speculation. Her crazy plan may actually work, because suddenly it's not just about punishing Luna, it's about Bill and Katie's grandchild.
Right. They're powerful, they're furious. But would they really want their grandchild born in prison? Associated with that forever?
Highly unlikely. Katie might rage, might say, let her rot, initially.
Which would be justified.
Totally justified. But the sources predict the conversation quickly turns to, okay, we can't let the baby be born there. We take the kid once it's born. But to do that, Luna needs to be out.
So the baby becomes her get-out-of-jail-free card, essentially forcing the Spencers to protect her, at least physically.
Exactly. It introduces an innocent element that completely changes their calculation. And conveniently, Lizzie Finnegan, the doctor who hates Luna most,
is right there to do the paternity test.
Kicking off months, maybe a year, of storyline. Who's the father? What will Bill and Katie do? Luna's crimes become secondary to the drama generated by the baby.
The cost to Will, though, the sources say he's going to be devastated.
Just crushed. One more awful thing to deal with, one more secret or complication to tell his girlfriend, Electra Forrester. The pregnancy isn't about happiness. It's a narrative chain.
It locks Luna into the story, regardless of her past actions. While Thomas lacked a function, Luna creates function through this pregnancy.
Unequivocally. She might be hated, she might be a double murderer, but she now has that ultimate structural necessity, a baby connecting her directly and dramatically to the Spencers and Logans. That guarantees her screen time.
And this isn't just about Luna, Bill, and Katie, is it? This pregnancy storyline is predicted to spread out, pull in a lot more people.
Oh yeah, it's designed to be a big storyline, according to the sources. It ropes in Katie, Bill, Luna, Lai, Sheila, and interestingly, very ticked-off Deacon Sharp.
Deacon gets involved. Why him?
Well, the theory expands. The storyline is also likely to involve Remy Price and that new character, Deke, played by Harrison Kahn.
Deke. There's a theory about him, right?
Strong suspicion he's Deacon's son. Remember his first appearance? The sources noted he recognized Luna immediately and was very indignant about her. Seemed like intense anger for a newcomer towards someone he barely knew.
Unless he did have a reason. If he's Deacon's son.
Then his anger makes perfect sense. Luna's the woman accused of killing 2 people connected to his dad's world, his dad's friends maybe. That gives him a powerful personal motivation to be involved, potentially seeking revenge or justice.
Family conflict right there.
Exactly. And the casting itself seems to back this up. The sources mentioned a visual comparison.
Yeah, the like father, like son thing. They put a picture of young Sean Kanan, who plays Deacon, back from his General Hospital days as A.J. Quartermain.
Right next to Harrison Kahn as Deke. And the resemblance is, well, it's pretty striking.
So the sources are saying the casting was deliberate. They hired someone who looks like a young Deacon Sharp.
That's the conclusion. Casting to look like Daddy. It's a classic soap move. It telegraphs the connection, makes the eventual reveal feel earned, believable.
Okay, so let's recap this contrast. Thomas, popular character, long history, but ultimately disposable due to production logistics, no contract, no story space, placeholder function fulfilled.
Phased out based on structural needs.
Luna, brand new character, deeply controversial, massive crimes, but absolutely secured because of a plot device, the pregnancy that guarantees future drama and connects her to core families. Plus, they're actively building story around her, like with a potential Deacon connection.
Entrenched based on narrative utility. It really shows the mechanics at play.
So we definitely completed our mission here. We analyzed the evidence for Thomas's likely exit, the credits, the missing son, the fizzled climax, the Steffi factor.
And contrasted that with Luna's shocking survival strategy. How, despite everything, she's locked in for a major multi-character storyline purely because that positive pregnancy test creates guaranteed conflict.
It highlights that raw strategic power of plot devices in soaps, doesn't it? One guy leaves because the structure doesn't need him anymore.
Even if fans like him.
While another character, who arguably should be gone based on actions,
Stays precisely because her actions, combined with this new development, guarantee the kind of drama the show runs on. It's fascinating.
it really makes you think about serialized storytelling in general.
It does. And maybe that's the final thought for you, the listener. When you're watching any ongoing story on TV or anywhere else, how often does that character's function for the plot? Like, do they fill a gap? Do they guarantee conflict? How often does that function seem to outweigh their actual history or actions within the story?
Even extreme actions like Luna's alleged crimes.
Right. How often does the need for drama override things like moral consistency or audience expectation in determining who sticks around? It's that tension between narrative necessity and, well, everything else. Definitely something worth thinking about next time you're watching.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the calculated world of B&B strategy.
Always interesting stuff. We'll see you next time.